Hey everybody, Smiles here with Gamer Smiles. I am so excited. I hope you guys are just as pumped as I am. We're going to wrap up this Sunday with a couple more battles before we head out. My hair's messy. It looks terrible. Mother would be very angry about that. But that's all good. You know what? We're not here about talking about hair or making ourselves look good. We're here about having fun playing some Pokemon. You know what I'm saying? So with that, got to make sure we stay hydrated. Let's go ahead and kick it off to the intro video, and I will see you guys in a moment. Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Gaming with Smiles. I'm Smiles here today. We're going to be playing some more Pokemon Online, some Sword and Shield. So in our last episode, I was so excited. We got to Master Rank in singles, and we also have Master Rank in doubles. So this is awesome. Getting to the Master Ball tier here, and keep on climbing the rank. So I've been having such a blast. And I thought, hey, you know what, before we close out this Sunday, let's go ahead and get a couple more matches in before the evening. So with that, let's go ahead and hop in. I'll roll for it. Singles, it's going to be odds, heads, evens, it'll be doubles. I'm using a D10 because it's the die that's here for randomly. I can't even see the roll. It's an 8. Okay, so that means that it is doubles. Let's go for it. Yeah, the opponent is more than welcome to check out my team. That's totally fine. And, yeah, really excited to... Ooh, hey, we got up a little bit. That's awesome. Cool, let's go ahead and use this team. So this is actually the team that helped me get to this rank earlier. You saw the Hydreigon. Here, we'll wait till the opponent comes in and we can see that. By the way, you are listening to the Pokemon Stadium 2 soundtrack. If you have any music suggestions for the future, would love to hear them from you. I'd love to incorporate them in this channel. But anyways, what we have here is... on my team, I have Hydreigon, Corsola, Gastrodon, Ninetales, Grimmsnarl, and Primarina, and it looks like the opponent is packing some similar Pokemon, including this Rotom Mow. The Gastrodon is definitely something that we see on both of our teams, but we see the Arcanine, we see the Prankster, Sableye, we see the Rhyperior, we see the Rotom Mow, and the Cramorant, a pretty rare Pokemon, but Cramorant can actually can definitely... Rotom can definitely mess with a couple of my my water Pokemon, especially with that Leaf Storm. So I do need to be mindful of it. Thinking Grimmsnarl might be helpful here at the beginning. I kind of like Ninetales. I think Ninetales actually threatens a good amount of the team. I think the one thing I do need to be mindful of is Sableye does set up the weather in my face. That isn't going to be pretty. I kind of feel like Hydreigon at the early start would be helpful, and then using Corsola and Gastrodon near the end of the game. Primarina can also help. I think what I'm worried about with Primarina... Yeah, it's mainly just... Well, Sableye I can deal with it easily. Ah, this is tough. Yeah, I feel like Primarina is also going to run into the Leaf Storm. So we're going with Primarina instead of Gastrodon. I don't think my team is super weak to water, so the opponent might not be looking at that threat as much. So I'm okay with this. I think it'll still be fine for now. I'm going to go ahead and lower the gameplay audio just a tad on the speakers. We'll still keep it up on the thing. So here we go. We are going to have Grayson go ahead and send out Sableye and Arcanine. So we are going to have Grimmsnarl and Hydreigon kind of being the leads here. So not too bad here. Sableye actually can't do any Prankster Shenanigans on myself, which is helpful to deal with Arcanine in the long run. I think one thing I want to do here is go ahead and trick on the Arcanine, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and, feel like I can go ahead and use Spirit Break on the Sableye, and then I will use this Earth Power on this Arcanine here. Arcanine could go for something like Play Rough, but I would be curious to see that. So we are going to see the Trick. The Trick doesn't do anything. We are going to see the Snarl as well. The opponent not realizing that being a Dark type makes you immune to the Prankster shenanigans. Hence why I kind of wanted this lead. Double Dark helps deal with that immensely. And we are going to fire off this Earth Power into the Arcanine slot, doing a lot of damage. Critical hit? Yeah! And that's exactly what I want to see. Thank goodness we knocked out that Arcanine like nobody's business, and here we are going to ram into this Sableye with the Spirit Break, lowering that attack here. But really, Sableye is kind of put in a bind. None of my Pokemon really care. Sableye is going to switch out with the eject button, but Sableye really didn't establish anything here. The opponent does have a chance to switch in 2 other Pokemon, but Hydreigon coming in strong. We do see the Gastrodon here. Perfect opportunity for our Primarina to come in and ravage things, so I am glad I decided to have Primarina in the back here. And we're going to see the Cramorant, so Cramorant is going to try to set up this Gastrodon here. I think with that, this opens up a great opportunity to use the, let's see, with Primarina in the back, yeah, I don't need to immediately, I could Dynamax now. I might hold off on that. I am going to go ahead and use Trick, and then I am going to power through with this Draco Meteor. Dealing with the Cramorant early on is going to be so helpful. And yeah, so we get off the Trick here. That's going to make Cramorant a lot slower. And I do get the Choice Specs here, and Cramorant goes in with Surf. Gastrodon does up its special attack here. And this Surf isn't going to be doing too much here. Yeah, I take that comfortably. And we are going to see the Fishy go there. I am going to fire off this Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor is going to do a considerable amount here. And that will be enough to kind of put Cramorant in a lower spot here. The Fish is coming right at Hydreigon. Going to do a decent amount of damage. And I actually lose my defense there. Gastrodon is going to stockpile, kind of upping its defenses. So Gastrodon is kind of looking to stay in for the long run. But here, because Gastrodon is Choice Spec, I can utilize the Trick here to make it harder for Gastrodon to do much. I'm going to go ahead and fire off one more Draco Meteor in the Cramorant. I think I have enough power to break through it, and that will be helpful in the long run. So we are going to see the Trick here. Trick is going to give the Choice Specs to the Gastrodon, making it easier to deal with it in the long run. I do get the Window Berry, so great opportunity there to make it easier for Primarina to knock out Gastrodon in the long run. And here we go with the Draco Meteors, enough to knock out the Cramorant. That's what we're looking for, and we are doing great work with this Hydreigon. Let's go. I'm so excited. And Gastrodon, stuck with Stockpile, actually can't attack. Gastrodon can only use Stockpile from here on out, thus losing. There's nothing that Gastrodon can do, and that also means that I can just double up into the Sableye slot and really knock it out. So unfortunate from the opponent, not realizing that I would be immune to Prankster shenanigans being a Dark type, and so that just played greatly to my benefit. So game, set, and match. If the opponent wants to stay in, they could, but really it's game over here. The Will-O-Wisp comes in, but again, not realizing that it can't really do anything. I'm going to fire off this Dark Pulse. It's not going to do too much. But yeah, I mean, the opponent is stuck. They can only use this Stockpile, and that in itself puts Gastrodon on a terrible setup here. So we are going to see the Stockpile. It is going to get a +3 defense and special defense, but you're stuck there. You can only use Stockpile, and that doesn't matter at all for me. I think in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and set up Light Screen. Oh, well, I'm just going to use Spirit Break, why not? And I think I'm just going to go ahead and fire off a Dark Pulse. We can slowly but surely wear down this Gastrodon, and oh, interesting! So smart play from the opponent. Totally forget about this. So I thought I was the foolish one. The opponent was the foolish one, but it was actually me. This Gastrodon is going to try to Dynamax and try to knock me out in these 3 turns, but I feel confident that I can win this through the Dynamax too. Trying to think, what would the opponent want to target down first? I also get a chance to flinch with this Dark Pulse, so we are going to fire off this Dark Pulse. Doesn't do too much, thanks to a lot of my special attack drops. We do lower the special attack of Gastrodon, which is helpful too. And so let's see what we're going to see. We are going to see the Max Quake, so it is going to go into that Grimmsnarl slot. I take that decently well, meaning that you can't win. You would have to knock me out in 3 turns. You have to knock out 4 Pokemon in 3 turns. So it was already a checkmate situation. Dynamax forces you to only use one Dynamax forces you to use, you can single target. So really, the opponent is playing a losing game here, and we're just going to ride through this checkmate as far as we can. I fire off the Dark Pulse. It's not going to do too much here, and we get another Max Quake. The opponent really, I think, is struggling. Not realizing that Hydreigon is, has that Levitate ability. Just gonna fire off one more Dark Pulse. I am gonna fire off one more Spirit Break, but really, the opponent can't win this. I can easily switch out, and really make it harder for the opponent to deal with me in the long run. So, both of those attacks, again, not doing too much here. But Gastrodon finally gets the breakthrough with a Max Quake. Is gonna target that, Grimmsnarl slot, and I comfortably take that thanks to all those special defense drops, handling that like a champ. Gastrodon is at +5 of its defense, but it is stuck. It can only use Stockpile. So really, Gastrodon can't do anything. It can try to keep on stockpiling just to try to PP stall it as best as it can, but again, I'm not really worried here. I'm gonna fire off this Spirit Break. It doesn't matter how much damage I'm doing, because it's a checkmate situation. So I'm not sure what the opponent is game plan is here, but really I'm just gonna fire off another Spirit Break. I'm gonna fire off an Earth Power, because why not? I mean, it doesn't really bother me. And the battle is finally canceled. The opponent kind of realizing they're put in a checkmate situation. Great job from Hydreigon and Grimmsnarl for sure. Also, folks, I do notice that my camera in the corner is a little bit delayed, so I do apologize for that. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with OBS, but we'll figure it out. Hopefully you guys are having just as much fun as I am. So, great battle overall. I think it was just the opponent not understanding the mechanics behind the Prankster, which really opened them up. And that critical hit from on Arcanine was really beneficial there. Alright, so we got a battle against JP. JP coming in with Comfey, Lapras, Ferrothorn, Weezing, Galarian Weezing rather, Goodra, and Arcanine. Now, Comfey has a very big combo with Lapras, being able to fire off a priority Giga Drain. That priority Giga Drain will make it pretty tough dealing with Lapras in the long run. Lapras will then have the weakness policy to really power up its moves. So in this case, I do feel confident using Grimmsnarl. I can use something like Trick to take away that weakness policy and then fire off the lagging tail at the end of it, and making it really slow. I don't feel confident with Hydreigon immediately, but I think Hydreigon in the long run will be helpful. I think Corsola having Gastrodon... Gastrodon is kind of an iffy choice too, just because I also have to deal with both Goodra, who might have grass-type moves like Power Whip, and Ferrothorn. I like Primarina better against both, honestly. So I might actually leave Primarina Grimmsnarl. And then having Corsola and Hydreigon in the back to clean things up when we feel confident in the endgame here. It might be a little bit tricky to get the pieces in place, but I am ready to deal with the Comfey, super effective Giga Drain coming out. Because that definitely is a strategy well, actually I can't. Because I will Trick after the boost come in. So, kind of unfortunate there, but hopefully we can make it work. So actually we see Weezing and Lapras come out to the play. Weezing and Lapras are definitely a big threat here. Versus Grimmsnarl and Primarina. Weezing actually activates Neutralizing Gas, making it harder for us to use any of our Prankster shenanigans here. I think in this case, Weezing also can hit Grimmsnarl super effectively. I think what I want to do is still hit this Lapras. And I think I'm going to hit the Lapras with a... That is interesting. The Weezing does put a good check. I was thinking it was going to be Misty Terrain. I think what I want to do is definitely hit this Lapras for sure. And I think I want to hit the Weezing with Moonblast. That wasn't the best move, especially because Weezing resists this. But I really can't think of other ways I can play around this. Lapras is immediately going to Dynamax here. Great call out here. Lapras is going to have that, the G-Max Resonance coming out pretty early. Yay, what is up, Doug? How you doing? Alright, not Dave Coulier. It's great to see you, man. We are going to get him. We're going to try our best to win this one. So thank you for tuning in on the stream today. Lapras is going to fire off this G-Max Resonance, so that is going to hurt the Grimmsnarl. that does a considerable amount here. Trouble here also is that, that Aurora Veil is going to make it so much tougher to deal with the opponent. We are going to see the Weezing. Okay, so I actually get to hit second with Primarina. Going to fire off this Moonblast here. It doesn't do too much here. Maybe reload the special attack. Nope. And Weezing is going to actually taunt the Grimmsnarl. Great opportunity there, only forcing me to use Spirit Break. So I will fire off the Spirit Break, making it easier to deal with Lapras in the long run. Lapras is going to be taking damage, lowering that special attack. And Weezing recovers his HP thanks to that Blood Sludge. Whew, okay, this is an explosive turn. The opponent has some interesting tricks that I'm really enjoying seeing here. I'm going to go ahead and use Spirit Break one more time on Lapras, and I feel like I need to hit the Lapras with Moonblast. I feel like I'm waiting too long to mess with Weezing though, and that's the problem. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit this Lapras with Moonblast. Lowering its special attack is going to be so beneficial, and I do need to make sure that we outlast these Aurora Veil turns. Once we do, then we can try to pick up knockouts. Hydreigon especially likes to fight against Weezing, thanks to the Max Quake, which will be helpful. Lapras actually going for that Max Lightning. That's going to do a considerable amount of damage here. The Electric Train comes up, making sure that none of us can fall asleep. I don't think any of us use sleep anyways, but it will make the next Max Lightning even stronger. We are going to see the Sludge Bomb connecting into the Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl, unable to survive that turn, is knocked out. Hey, what is up, Elite Trainer Chase? How you doing? Great to see you in the chat. And we do fire off this Moonblast into the Lapras. This Weezing does prove quite the threat, for sure. I guess the question here is, do I feel confident with Hydreigon going in? I could also use Corsola to set up my own light screen, kind of slow things down a bit. Curse Body won't activate, but I do have kind of the slower speed to help me out here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and bring it into Corsola. How you doing, by the way, Elite Trainer? What is going on in your world? But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and send in Corsola here, kind of slow down things a little bit. Primarina unable really to make things work. I don't want to hit Lapras with my Energy Ball just yet. Uh-oh. Folks, something happened. Folks, I'm... Okay, it was just my monitor. But, okay. For some reason, it paused for a second. But at least we didn't disconnect or anything. I am so sorry about that, guys. But, okay, so we did have the Max Geyser go into the Corsola slot, I believe. And then we are going to have this Moonblast go into the Lapras. So helping things out in the long run. I can't use Light Screen. This Weezing causing so much problems for our team. But great call out from this Weezing. Just trying to stay in here. I think that what I want to do... How many more turns of Aurora Veil I got? I got 2 turns, right? 2 turns of Aurora Veil. Okay. I think in this case I can punish the Lapras again. And then I am going to try to use... You know what? Fortune favors the bold. I don't know if I might have to use my Dynamax now. I might need to. Yeah, Fortune favors the bold. We're going to Max Geyser this Weezing because we need to get this Weezing out of here. Hey, it's awesome. I'm glad that you had a chance to tune in our stream. Thank you for coming in and tuning in. So we see the Ferrothorn come out. So not too crazy here. We are going to try to power through this Weezing with this Max Geyser. Luckily, we have the Wayne on our side. And we have that Hydro Cannon power. And I'm hopeful that if we bust through this Weezing, we can make things happen in the long run. Primarina is going to go ahead and Dynamax here. And hopefully we can make some strides here and get some knockouts. Because this is going to be tough. This is an uphill battle for sure. Weezing goes for the Sludge Bomb. Glad I did Dynamax here. Hopefully you don't get poisoned. No poison. We're going to fire off this Max Geyser. Hopefully going to do a lot of damage on this Weezing. Come on. Let's get this knockout. Ah, so close. And unfortunate there. Because if I Night Shaded the Weezing, that would have been enough to lift that up. We are going to do a decent amount on the Ferrothorn. Weezing will be recovering its HP thanks to the Black Sludge. And Ferrothorn also will be covering things to leftovers as well. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get this knockout here, but we were close. I feel like I can target the Weezing slot with this Nightshade. And you know what? I might... Okay, so I could target the Ferrothorn slot. I think I'm going to do that. And I'm going to power through this Weezing slot. We got to fire the Max Geyser. But the problem is it could easily slip into Lapras. Switch into Lapras, so I am going to fire off the Max Strike, just in case Weezing switches out. I think that this power is going to be enough. Yep, I did predict this switch out from the Weezing. Going to lift up the Neutralizing Gas, and we are going to have Lapras come in here. So, great call out there, predicting the Lapras switch in. and that will make it easier to deal with Lapras in the long run. We're going to fire off this Max Strike into the Lapras slot. Does a decent amount of damage here, but lowering that speed is going to be so helpful in the long run. Lapras' speed is decreased, and so is Ferrothorn's. And Corsola gets to fire off this Nightshade. I believe this is the last turn of my taunt, so that is good damage there. And Ferrothorn goes for the knockoff. I will lose the Eviolite, unfortunately, but hopefully the Curse Body will activate. Nope, it doesn't, unfortunately. That is a tough one for sure. But Corsola should shake off its taunt. Perfect. And the Aurora Veil is away. Now this is a great opportunity to use Strength Sap on the Ferrothorn. And yeah, I'm going to try to knock out this Lapras in one turn. If it switches into Weezing, I don't think it's the end of the world. I can deal with Weezing in different ways. I just don't want Lapras. You know what, I am going to go for this Max. No, Max Starfall might not be as helpful. Yeah, I feel like I have no choice. I might have to ram into this. Hey, no worries. All it takes is practice, Chase. It takes practice. You know, I've been playing competitive since 2009, I want to say. Or 2007 with Battle Revolution. But hey, Pokemon's been my game since 98, so all it takes is some practice here. So Lapras is actually going to protect, which will be not too great. I will fire off this Max Overgrowth, which does give Lapras the weakness policy boost. Which isn't ideal. If I did hit Max Strike, that would have been helpful in the long run. We are going to see the Grassy Terrain activate. And Lapras does activate that weakness policy. Nice thing here is that the opponent won't be knocked out with my next moves. And so that does give me an opportunity here to still deal damage to Lapras because of that Max Strike lowering its attack, or its speed. So, not too bad here. I do get all my health restored. Ferrothorn goes for that Power Whip. Great call out there. And I barely survived with 12 HP. Oh, man. And that would have been dangerous. The Grassy Terrain actually boosted that power. So, that was a clutch game. Yeah, no, I feel that. I think it's just, it's a different game for sure. With competitive, you just have to kind of get used to it, but you get better over time. But awesome to hear that you've been playing since 97, Chase, so I'd imagine that Red and Blue were your first versions. Let me know which version that you played with. I'm curious to hear it. Alright, so with this, Ferrothorn is prime and ready to go as far as a Will-O-Wisp. I do want to Will-O-Wisp this Ferrothorn, and I do want to knock out this Lapras with this Energy Ball immediately. Lapras could switch out, which would be a great call out here. And hopefully we can use Hydreigon near the end game to knock everything out. Weezing is pretty low, and probably the next turn it will knock out Primarina. But yeah, we'll have to see. This is going to be a tough one. Whew, I don't know. This team was really scary to face. I think we're slowly but surely breaking the pieces down. Lapras protects, but fails that protect, which is very helpful. We are able to get this knockout on Lapras, which is going to help us so much in the long run. And here we are. Corsola is going to use this Will-O-Wisp to burn off the Ferrothorn. This will help negate some of the healing it's going to get from leftovers and the Grassy Terrain. Are we going to get the power up? The Gyro Ball comes in. Great call out here. Wants to make sure it's 100% accurate. I don't blame that. I don't blame Ferrothorn. And the burn, though, will be helpful. The rain is over, so that doesn't really help me in any way. Ferrothorn is going to be taking some damage, healing, thanks to leftovers and the Grassy Terrain. But luckily, the burn will help make it more manageable in the long run here. Both of us have used up our Dynamax, and I actually don't know their final Pokemon. So depending on that, it might be not so great. Weezing is back out and ready to go. Weezing does have lower HP, so I am hopeful to utilize that to my advantage. And we're going to send in Hydreigon. Weezing's neutralizing gas takes effect. And so that is not too bad in this matchup. I don't think either of them have ground moves. But if I hit the this Earth Power rather on this Weezing, that will be a lot. That would be very helpful in the long run. Weezing could switch out, but yeah, Alright, Ferrothorn does switch out actually, so that will be helpful, and we are going to get the Comfey near the end of the game. Comfey's attack is actually pretty strong. Weezing does go ahead and use this Protect here. Oof, that is going to make it very hard to deal with Weezing in the long run. This opponent definitely being very careful of what it has. And Corsola gets to fire off this Nightshade into the Comfey slot. Comfey takes a decent amount of damage. Comfey does have that grassy terrain here. Most likely, Comfey is going to go for something like the Floral Healing, which will do a lot, will actually heal Weezing close to full its HP. I think in that case, I am going to double up into the Weezing slot and hopefully try to knock this bad boy out. Because as long as I can't be taunted, that gives me access to all of my defensive moves as Corsola. That will be so helpful in the long run here. Ooh, can you see that little eyebrow moving from Weezing? That was funny. I love that. That was cute. But yeah, Elite Trainer Chase, and oh, we're actually going to see the withdraw. Wow. Neutralizing gas does wear off, and we are going to have Ferrothorn come in here. Most likely, Comfey is going to use a Draining Kiss on my own Hydreigon. That's going to do a considerable amount of damage. Hydreigon barely survives with 44 HP. But this puts us in an incredibly tough spot because while I will be able to knock out this Weezing, I might be able to knock out this Ferrothorn. Comfey's priority is actually very dangerous. We are going to have the Nightshade come into the Ferrothorn, so actually we can make this work to our advantage. We can. Weezing alright, here's the game plan, folks. It's a messy one, but I got an idea. Weezing negates abilities. So Comfey actually doesn't outspeed Hydreigon unless it has speed investment. So if we double up in the Comfey slot, we could knock it out. I'm going to use Superpower on the Comfey slot, and hopefully this will be enough, combined with Nightshade, to knock it out. And then Weezing forces Corsola. Corsola should be able to handle that relatively well. This is a tough battle for sure. The opponent has put us in a bind here. But luckily, thanks to the ability negation, it makes it easier to deal with Comfey in the long run. Weezing does protect exactly the turn I want to see here. And let's power through with this Hydreigon. Hydreigon going for the Earth Power into the Comfey slot with this +2. We're able to, close to knocking it out. Critical hit there, but no biggie. Comfey actually lowers its special defense. Doesn't make a difference. And I get the Nightshade off. I outspeed Comfey as Corsola. Woo! Can we get the hype in the chat? Can we get the hype in the chat? That's exactly what we needed here. And this is exactly the key knockout. Oh my goodness. The opponent's Weezing, which gave us problems throughout the entire game, has backfired on them the last moment. You can't make this up, folks. And that is exactly what we're looking for. Now we can use that Earth Power and knock out this Weezing. Thank goodness we recognize Comfey being the bigger threat. Going to fire off this Earth Power, and oh my goodness, we thought we lost. I honestly thought I lost it turn 1, and we figured it out. We made it work. Yo, I gotta record that. We gotta put that on the Twitters. Because, oh my goodness, that was awesome. Can we get some hype in the chat? Can we get some hype in the chat? That was a battle. That was a battle for sure. And that Weezing was tough. Yay, we got a comment. Sorry, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm curious to see the team. So, we had the Arcanine. We didn't have to deal with it, which was really nice. Goodra with Assault Vest actually would have been really tough. Yep, and I figured as much, especially with the Power Whip, that Goodra would have been a great check against Gastronome. Having Weezing was so tough to deal with. That neutralizing gas, the taunt was such a key player here, disabling a lot of my moves. We had the Strange Steam and the Sludge Bomb here. Comfey, of course, using Triage, but luckily preying on that special defense was so helpful. And it was actually slower than Corsola, which was awesome to see. So it might have been actually minimum speed, and with that, being able to set up Trick Room and things like that. But I was very grateful for that indeed. Just because I was able to punish Comfey with, being able to really hit hard with the Earth Power and then hitting with that Nightshade. That was so important, that key knockout, and calling out Comfey there. I think Comfey actually was going to set up Trick Room. That's why it was actually slower. Because the idea behind this was I was supposed to ram into Weezing with Hydreigon. And then I was supposed to miss. Comfey sets up Trick Room, sets up a game set match type thing. Comfey gets priority, or it doesn't get priority, but it's able to use Floral Healing and things like that. So we called it at the right moment by double upping in that Comfey slot, and really calling out that it wasn't Weezing that was the bigger threat, it was Comfey. And so I did feel confident Weezing one-on-one with Corsola, and so that was a great call out there. Ferrothorn being burnt was super helpful. and it did make things a lot easier. And then we had Lapras firing off those Hydro Pumps, firing off the Thunders and Freeze Dry. Lapras actually wasn't Water Absorb or Cell Armor, but a lot of people assume Water Absorb. I actually have Water Absorb, so that makes sense why you decided to do that in this case. So, great battle overall. Oh my goodness, that was tough. We figured it out, made it work, but yeah, double targeting that Comfey slot was crushed there. And our standings go up. Actually, I think it was higher than when we first started, which is awesome. Cool, let's see what next battle we have against Shane Train. Shane Train, what you got for us today? Shane's coming out at us with a lot of intense Pokemon, a very Trick Room heavy team. We have Ferrothorn, we have Dusclops, Marowak, we have the Azumarill, we have the Seismitoad, and we have the Conkeldurr. So with all of these more, I guess, slower Pokemon, I do feel confident with Ninetales, Grimmsnarl, Gastrodon, and Corsola. That way, even if you do set up Trick Room, I really don't care. I think that setting up Aurora Veil and then slowing down you greatly is going to be helpful in the long run. Hydreigon and Primarina could be good options, but I really do feel that the other Pokemon I have are going to do a great job here in dealing out a considerable amount of damage. So with that, let's go ahead and see what our good friend Shane Train throws out. And we are going to see the Dusclops Azumarill. So nothing I'm too surprised at, and versus Ninetales and Grimmsnarl. So with the Azumarill, I think one thing I want to do here is go ahead and trick the Lagging Tail. If Azumarill does set up something like Belly Drum, okay, so Pressure. So Dusclops actually does not see our abilities, which is super helpful. But anyways, making sure that Azumarill can't really survive for too long is going to be helpful in the long run. So we are going to get off the trick on the Azumarill, which is perfect. This will take away any citrus berries or things like that. Actually Choice Band was revealed. And we're going to go ahead and fire off this Aurora Veil. Aurora Veil making it easier to deal with any of the attacks that we're going to see. We are going to see the Play Rough into the Grimmsnarl slot, giving me an opportunity to survive here thanks to changing that item. And we're going to see the Nightshade into the Grimmsnarl slot as well. So, Grimmsnarl almost knocked out here. Luckily, we were able to survive by 3 HP. So, a great turn overall. Thing is, Azumarill definitely could have Aqua Jet. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I'm just going to go ahead and fire off a Blizzard, and then I'm going to go ahead and trick into the Dusclops slot. The thing about this, though, is that Aqua Jet has to go after my trick in the priority brackets, so that will be helpful in the long run here. Dusclops could use something like Ally Switch to preserve the Eviolite and for me to give back the Choice Band, but we'll have to see what happens. So Dusclops actually withdraws, making sure it's not going to get hurt here. And I am going to have Ferrothorn come back in here. Ferrothorn, interesting choice. Ferrothorn could hold an Assault Vest, or it could hold a Choice Band. We'll have to see here. Ferrothorn actually gets the Choice Band, and I get a Citrus Berry, and I will eat that Citrus Berry, taking that little recovery away from Ferrothorn, making it a little bit easier to deal with it in the long run. We are going to fire off this Blizzard. Hopefully we're going to do some good damage here. Ferrothorn takes a decent amount. Not effective on the Azumarill, but expected. Oh, a critical hit on Ferrothorn. And we do see the Play Rough going into the Ninetales slot. So, Grimmsnarl is going to get not knocked out by the Hail, thank goodness. And so that's going to be helpful so much in the long run. Ferrothorn is going to be taking damage thanks to the Hail. And I think what I want to do here is go ahead and fire off a Blizzard. And I'm going to go ahead and just Spirit Break the Azumarill. So, the opponent is close to doing a decent amount of damage to me, but the problem here is that they just don't have much momentum that they can work through. Going to fire off this Blizzard, does a good amount to Ferrothorn again. No critical hits on that one, but again, it's going to be a considerable amount. Azumarill taking pretty low HP here. Slowly but surely we're wearing it down, and Ferrothorn goes in with a power-up. Avoiding that attack is going to be clutch. We are going to have the Play Rough into the Ninetales, and Ninetales is knocked out here. Grimmsnarl is going to be able to survive one more turn thanks to that Citrus Berry I stole from Ferrothorn. But here, now I put Ferrothorn in a tough spot. I can just fire off this Nightshade, and that should be enough to knock out Ferrothorn. Corsola is sent out here, and I'm going to go ahead and use Nightshade on the Ferrothorn slot, and just use another Spirit Break on Azumarill. There really isn't anything that discourages me from taking this type of offensive pressure here. Grimmsnarl is going to go for that Spirit Break. Is it going to be enough to knock out the Azumarill? It is. Azumarill is knocked out, and we took down one big threat. Here comes threat number 2. Is Corsola's Nightshade enough to knock out this Ferrothorn? And it is. Ferrothorn is knocked out. Oh, there you go. 2 for 2. I might have traded Ninetales, but oh my goodness, that Aurora Veil paying in dividends. And just firing off these really powerful blizzards. This has been such a great game for me. Being able to really dominate the field thanks to Grimmsnarl and Corsola. Alright, so we do see the Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr actually doesn't mind. I actually don't mind Conkeldurr against Corsola. I think one thing I want to do here is not to, I might, yeah, I feel like what I want to do here is, I'm going to start putting on damage on Conkeldurr, and then I am going to go ahead and use Trick on the, actually that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and Nightshade the Conkeldurr, and I am going to Trick the Conkeldurr. This will allow me to steal anything like an Assault Vest, making it easier to deal with Conkeldurr in the long run. Conkeldurr is going to go ahead and Dynamax, I believe, so totally fine here. Even if I have to deal with it in Trick Room, I'm not as worried. Conkeldurr could also have something like Max Darkness, is something I do need to watch out for. But honestly, this team screams so much Trick Room that it was easy to deal with it in the long run. Don't be overconfident here, we gotta make this work. We are able to get the Trick off the Conkeldurr, making it easier to deal with it in the long run. Conkeldurr, I do steal that Assault Vest, which is great to see, and we are going to get this Nightshade off into the Conkeldurr slot. Conkeldurr is going to go for this Max Knuckle, going to try to target down the Grimmsnarl, finally knocking me out. But really, at this point in the game, it's going to be so much hard. It's going to be very hard for the opponent to make substantial moves, especially because I did take away the Assault Vest. Grimmsnarl is going to be knocked out here, and we're slowly but surely going to deal with it. Here comes Trick Room, but of course, the last Pokemon I chose was my own Gastrodon. Hail is over, and so that also means that Aurora Veil is over too. But we can make this work. I don't need Light Screen. I think what the main thing here is to really knock out this Dusclops. Cool. With that, I am going to go ahead and Nightshade the Dusclops slot, and I am going to go ahead and fire off an Earth Power. It's a little bit interesting. I definitely agree with Nightshading the Dusclops. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I do agree with Nightshading the... I could Strength Sap now. Yeah, because that +1. And then I could Earth Power... yeah, I'm going to Max Geyser the Dusclops. Main thing here is that Dusclops versus Corsola, Dusclops can't win. And so the more I can deal with Dusclops, the better. And it is also possible that Dusclops does have this Max Darkness. And so I do want to call that out. And if I have to deal with the Max Darkness... I can heal up as Corsola afterwards. Dusclops is going to use Nightshade against my own Corsola, but hopefully we can use something like Pure Spotty, making it easier to deal with. We are going to see the Max Lightning on Corsola as well. I should take that. Perfect! Such a great turn on my end. This is perfect. Going with the Strength Sap is going to do so much. Lowering lowering Conkeldurr's attack and getting all of my health back. That is just the power of Corsola and that Eviolite. We get the Max Geyser. It's not going to do too much here to Dusclops, but that's totally fine. And we get to go ahead and use the Strength Sap. Thank you, Dusclops, for all of your attack. I'm going to take that and get that healing. You know what I'm saying? And that's just going to be so helpful in the long run. Now, Conkeldurr has another choice. Do I go for a Max Knuckle to try to boost my attack again, or do I fire off another Max Lightning now that it is boosted by the terrain? But really, Conkeldurr isn't going to have much luck here. We could see an ally switch from the Dusclops, but even so, it's not going to add too much here. We are going to see the Max Knuckle going into the Gastrodon slot. I take that comfortably well. Max Knuckle doesn't do too much here, and I get to recover all of my HP. Well, I get to lower... that boosted attack from Conkeldurr with the Strength Sap coming up. We are going to fire off this Max Geyser. I think what we're going to see, actually, is Dusclops turning off the Trick Room. Dusclops is barely holding on here. Actually goes for the Nightshade, so we speed tie? I did not realize that. And I get that Strength Sap on the Conkeldurr. Oh my goodness, lowering that attack even further. While I might not get a health back, that attack was so helpful. Conkeldurr is done with the Dynamax, making it really hard to deal with Corsola in the long run. And so now I feel very confident just going for a Nightshade into the Dusclops slot. And a Max Geyser probably is going to knock out, actually. I think what I'm going to do is, yeah, I'll just double up in that slot. Why not? Conkeldurr probably is going to use Drain Punch. We're going to see the Nightshade go into the Gastrodon slot. And we're going to fire off this Max Geyser, being able to knock out this Dusclops, making it so, oh my goodness, yes, knocking out that Dusclops was clutch. We are going to probably see a pretty strong Drain Punch coming in. Oh, it's just Brick Break. That's totally fine. Conkeldurr came in way too late to really maximize that. And we're going to have this Nightshade going into the Conkeldurr slot. I get to heal up with the leftovers, and thanks to the turns of Trick Room, this makes it a lot easier for Gastrodon to deal with the opponent in the long run. Corsola gets to fire off this Nightshade for free. I'm just going to pick the Conkeldurr slot, and I get to use Recover here. All that healing, and we're just, that bulkiness of the team really coming through. Conkeldurr goes for the Thunder Punch on the Corsola slot. Able to do a decent amount, but not too scary here. I'm going to fire off this Nightshade. Does a good amount to Conkeldurr. And really, Conkeldurr is put in a bind here. It can only use the Twisted Dimensions or have returned to normal. Therefore, Corsola does outspeed the Conkeldurr. We are going to use that Strength Sap, and I am going to go with this Earth Power here. But yeah, Conkeldurr unable to really make any moves here, and that is always a Pokemon I want to see against Gastrodon and Corsola in the endgame. So, really great momentum there, really recognizing it as a Trick Room. Grimmsnarl with those tricks, really taking away the items and slowly and surely breaking down my opponent's team. Made it a lot easier to deal with. Ferrothorn, unable to heal up, made it easy to deal with. I think it was awesome to see that. The Citrus Berry that I stole also became really great, because that was just like, hey, here's some free healing that gave Grimmsnarl extra turns. Of course, the Dusclops we did see from the Alola region. Surprised we didn't see Frisk. Usually that's the more preferred one, but Pressure is still a good one as well. The Thick Rub Marowak from Alola as well. Nothing too scary here. We were able to deal with that We didn't have Marowak to fight with, but I felt comfortable, especially with Gastrodon. I think Corsola probably wouldn't like Poltergeist, for sure. Azumarill with the Steamroller, Liquidation, Play Rough, and Superpower. But yeah, we were able to pretty much make it harder for Azumarill to make any moves here, especially with that trick early on. Oh, might be. I was meant to see, what was it? I didn't see the Conkeldurr, but it was Assault Vest anyways. Alright, let's go ahead and do one more battle. I might need to take a quick break right after the next one, but look at that, 4,300. We're in the 4,300s. That is awesome to see. Yeah, this team has been doing really well. I think Dedicated Trick Room, I used to play Dedicated Trick Room. It is kind of messy, but having some slow Pokemon to help deal with that really makes a difference. So we have a pretty interesting team here, including Krookodile, Umbreon, Primarina, Dragozolt, Amoonguss, and we have the Colossal. Interesting, just because I don't see any like self-proc Steam Engine. It might be possible that we're going to see the maybe Krookodile knows Surf. That could be it. Alrighty, kind of looking at this, Hydreigon can absorb one attack, but I think that I really want to set up like I do feel more confident setting up Aurora Veil, and I think kind of doing a slower gameplay. Aurora Veil using kind of Grimmsnarl to slow things down, and then having Gastrodon and Corsola kind of clean up in the end game. This will be helpful, especially too if I have to deal with like Umbreon will have Synchronized most likely, which will make it harder to deal with as far as using kind of the yeah, Primarina also could have been a good choice here. I wasn't feeling as confident with the Amoonguss, but I mean Gastrodon also doesn't like Amoonguss. But really, the Lagging Tail, if we can make that work, it's going to be great. The only problem with Grimmsnarl, though, is that there are two Pokemon that will be immune to it, which will be the Krookodile and Umbreon, so don't forget that. But once we can figure that out and make it work, we can get all the pieces together and make this happen. The opponent's thinking really hard about this. I wonder what they're worried about. I don't really seem to have much they could worry too much about. Yeah, so I am curious. But anyways, we won't let that get to our heads. Let's just play this match. Just throughout. We'll just see what happens, and we'll make it work. Alrighty then. We are at the Master Dojo, and the opponent is going to go ahead and send out Dragozolt and Umbreon. And I'm going to go ahead and send out Ninetales and Grimmsnarl. Great opportunity here just to go ahead and set up the Aurora Veil. I also feel very confident in going ahead and tricking the Lagging Tail. That will actually make Dragozolt pretty weak in the long run. So we are going to go ahead and do that. Umbreon is able to do things like taunt afterwards, in which case I will start to punish Umbreon with some Spirit Breaks here. But making Dragozolt very slow is going to help us in the long run. It is also possible to see Dragozolt switch out to the Crocodile, but I think that the threat of these powerful blizzards are going to make it not ideal. But we'll have to see. Umbreon could probably Snarl here. We are going to actually see the withdrawal from the Dragozolt, and is that going to be the Crocodile coming out? It's actually the Primarina. So Primarina is going to come out. I will be tricking that Primarina. Primarina is going to be taking the Lagging Tail, making it easier to deal with in the long run. I do get the Assault Vest here, and I do set up the Aurora Veil. So Grimmsnarl unable to trick any further, but I think that that's okay. I'm going to hit Umbreon thanks to the stronger Spirit Breaks. We do get the Yawn on the Ninetales, so I guess the question here is, do I decide to let Ninetales stay, or do I let it fall asleep? Umbreon revealing the leftovers, making it very bulky and a very scary Pokemon in doubles because of that. I think Umbreon actually got like 5th at Worlds or something once. This will be a little bit complex, but I think that if I double up in the Umbreon slot, we'll have a good chance here to make things happen. We are going to fire off this Blizzard. Maybe we'll get a freeze. Let's see what happens. It does a decent amount to both Pokemon. Critical hit on the Umbreon, which is nice to see. Critical on them both, actually. And we freeze the Primarina. That actually is going to be helpful in the long run. Grimmsnarl is going to fire off this Spirit Break, getting a pretty considerable amount of damage here, and lowering that special attack of Umbreon. Not really a big deal here. Umbreon does go for the Snarl. So I am glad I let Ninetales stay in. While Ninetales is going to have to deal with the lowered special attack and the sleep, Primarina is also frozen solid, which is unfortunate. It is part of Pokemon for sure, but being able to knock out this Umbreon early on is going to be helpful in the long run. Umbreon is going to be taking damage thanks to that Hail, but does recover that thanks to the leftovers as well. So negating the leftover recovery is going to be helpful in the long run. Ninetales is asleep, and so Umbreon does have a chance to switch out. I'm going to go ahead and fire off another Blizzard, and might as well just go for another Spirit Break into the Umbreon slot. Ninetales is still fast asleep, so Umbreon is going to be taking this full-powered Spirit Break. We are going to fire off the Spirit Break, and so that is good enough to knock out Umbreon. Very key knockout here. That's going to be super helpful in the long run. And Primarina doesn't on-thaw. It is frozen solid. We do need to start knocking out this Primarina early, though, just so we don't have to worry about Gastrodon being hit by a super effective Energy Ball. Dragozolt also is coming out, but I do feel that Dragozolt, I feel more comfortable dealing with Dragozolt with Gastrodon than I do having fighting Primarina. So we are going to go ahead and Spirit Break the Primarina to lower that attack, and we are going to see the Dragozolt just go for that Bolt Beak, just a raw Bolt Beak into the Ninetales slot. Totally okay with that. While Ninetales is going to be knocked out here, being able to slowly chip away at this Primarina is going to be clutch. So we are able to get a decent amount of damage here. That is going to be helpful in the long run. And Primarina is still frozen solid. With the Lagging Tail, that will be helpful to deal with Dragozolt overall. Yeah, so I feel okay here. I think what I want to do is actually bring in Corsola. I can use Strength Sap on the Dragozolt, and then yeah, I feel like I do need to be mindful if Dragozolt decides to target the Corsola for any reason. And then I am going to Spirit Break this Primarina. It is possible we might lose the Grimmsnarl right here and there. But totally fine here. We are going to see the Bolt Beak. The Bolt Beak does connect. It is going to go into that Grimmsnarl slot. I do survive. Perfect. Oh my goodness, that survival was clutch. And we are able to knock out this Primarina, making it so much easier to deal with Dragozolt in the long run. We do get off this Strength Sap, and that's just the power of Grimmsnarl. I cannot believe it. It was Vogue in early Sword and Shield, then it fell out of style, and I'm so glad I brought it back out. The Aurora Veil, paying in dividends, surviving those attacks, Super clutch there, and we were able to lower Dragazolt's physical strength with that strength sap. We are going to see the Gigalith here, which is perfect, actually, to make it easier to deal with it in the long run. I feel confident going ahead and firing off a Nightshade into the Gigalith slot, and yeah, I feel like what we can do here is just fire off a Nightshade into, I think, the Dragazolt slot, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just Spirit Break the Gigalith slot. Yeah, to lower its special attack. This seems like an odd play. I don't really mind losing Grimmsnarl at this juncture. But if I can lower Gigalith's, Colossal special attack, that's going to be so helpful in the long run of things. Colossal is going to go ahead and go into this Dynamax. And so let's see what's going to happen. We are going to see the Bolt Beak. The Bolt Beak misses. Oh my goodness, that is so clutch. And we are going to see the Volcalith go into probably the Grimmsnarl slot. It's actually going to the Corsola. Corsola handles that pretty well. And so the next one I should be able to handle as well here. I do fire off the Spirit Break. Not very effective, but we are going to lower that special attack. And Corsola is going to fire off this Nightshade into the Dragazolt slot. I think in that turn, I would have liked to have used Strength Sap for sure. That would have made it easier to deal with Colossal in the long run. But I feel like we're going to have an opportunity here to really just hit hard and hit fast. Corsola does take a decent amount of damage thanks to the Volcalith. And let's go ahead and switch into Gastrodon. The challenge here is that Gastrodon will also have to Dynamax. But I am fearful that I might run into a Max Overgrowth. So in that case, I do want to Dynamax, but I want to... Yeah, so I think I'm going to do... This is tough. I think I'm going to go ahead and Max Guard. Yeah, so at the end game, we are a little bit slower, so this is going to be a little bit harder to deal with. I'm just fearful that if I have to deal with a Max Overgrowth, we're going to be put in a tough spot. But if we don't have to deal with that Max Overgrowth, that is going to be helpful in the long run. Most likely in that last turn, it might try to set up Sunny Day, in which case I am going to Earth Power it. We do set up the Max Guard here. Hopefully we can call out any attacks we are going to see. We are going to get the Bolt Beak. That Bolt Beak does ram into the Corsola slot. Oh, I survived with 4 HP. Let's go. The Disable is going to be clutch. And we, as predicted, we do see the Max Overgrowth here. And so Corsola is going to get all that healing thanks to that Strange Sap. So thank goodness we were able to do that. Woo! That was clutch for sure. But Dragazolt actually being weakened is going to be helpful in the long run. I think that at -2, it's not going to be doing too much here. But the chip damage from Volcalith is going to be a pretty tough thing to deal with. I do get to heal up thanks to the leftovers, but I think the challenge here is that I gotta ask myself: do I survive a +2? Do I survive a Max Overgrowth and then be able to knock out this Colossal? Hopefully here, Dragazolt is, yes, as expected, is Choice Scarfed. We are going to be able to comfortably take this for now. That's a lot of chip damage here, so that also kind of makes it easier to deal with. In the long run, we are going to see the Max Overgrowth from the Gigalith. Is this enough to knock out? Yes, we survived. Thank goodness. And we're going to put all our eggs in knocking out this Gigalith. We're going to put our eggs in that basket right here. Grassy Terrain is on the field. Gastrodon, Corsola sets up the Light Screen, making it easier to deal with the next potential Max Overgrowth. But if we can survive, actually we'll survive one turn. We are able to knock out, we're not able to knock out Gigalith just yet. But the nice thing here is because the sun hasn't been set up, Gigalith cannot attack with Solar Beam. Gigalith does activate that weakness policy, but at this point, this is going to be so helpful in the long run. Dragazolt is going to be recovering thanks to the Grassy Terrain. We all are going to take that recovery. But the thing here is that Colossal's Dynamax is over. Right? Colossal's Dynamax is over. And what we need to do now is make sure that we knock it out. Once we knock it out, then it's just Dragazolt versus the world, and we're good here. I get all that recovery thanks to the leftovers and thanks to the Alright, so Gigalith is, so Colossal is, I keep on calling it Gigalith. So here's the thing, Colossal will probably, the only thing it can do to knock me out is to use something like Solar Beam. But if I attack it, then I win. So I am going to use the Strength Staff on the Dragonzolt, and I am going to go ahead and use the Max Quake, just to make sure I get this knockout. Dragonzolt is going to unfortunately struggle. That's going to be doing barely any damage here. Oh yeah, that is going to be great. And we see the Heat Wave, but Heat Wave is not enough to knock out either of us. So clutch of calling out that Dynamax and really making that work to our advantage. Woo, that was a tricky puzzle to solve, but that clutch disable paid off in dividends. Of course, they're recovering all of its HP, and I am going to fire off this Max Quake. That will be enough. And that does put Dragonzolt in a checkmate situation. We preserved Gastrodon, so the opponent can't win. Because you are Choice Scarfed and you are locked into a Bolt Beak, I'm immune, and you can't do anything. And so that was lucky of us to say, hey, you know what? I recognize that, and I want to make sure that I am not going to be knocked out by the Gigalith. Or, I keep on saying that, by the Colossal. And so that was a key clutch, Max Guard, the amazing defenses that we got, and also the amazing Light Screen to just make sure that we survived near the end after that attack there. So, Gastrodon, great job on that Dynamax. I'm glad I was very flexible with the team. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty much game, set, and match. We are going to go ahead and fire off this Will-O-Wisp. And I'm going to go ahead and use Recover here. And the opponent has to forfeit, getting that victory. Woo! Alright, that was awesome. Glad to see it. That was a great battle overall. Folks, I got to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Pokemon action right after this. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We are back here live with more Pokemon action. Woo, that was one heck of a fight, let me tell you. Figuring out the pieces for that puzzle was tough, but we figured it out, we made it work. And we actually have a higher ranking than when we first entered in the Master Ball tier. So, let's go, let's go. We're doing great out here. Super excited to see what was going to happen coming up, but I am pumped. By the way, I just want to say a huge thanks to Elite Trainer Chase for the follow earlier. I just checked out my follows now, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for following us here on the channel. Alrighty, so we have a pretty interesting team here. The Butterfree, we have the Dusclops, we have the Dhelmise, the Azumarill, the Urshifu, and the Arcanine. So kind of looking at this, you kind of see this, and you're like, oh, this has some Trick Room shenanigans going up. So I do feel confident with Ninetales Grimmsnarl again. I think Grimmsnarl actually really helpful whenever it did steal that Assault Vest on Primarina, let me tell you. And the Frozen turns actually helped out a lot too. Getting some free turns to just fire off on that Primarina so Gastrodon could win the game was so helpful. So we're going to kind of use a little bit of that to our advantage. excuse me, and try to see what we can make out of that. The main thing here is that I don't mind the opponent setting up Trick Room. If they set up Trick Room, it's not the end of the world. In fact, it is very much welcomed, and I'm okay with that. I think the one thing I do need to be mindful of is Dhelmise threatens both Gastrodon and Corsola, so we gotta make sure that Dhelmise does not become a threat. We actually see a very interesting lead here with Urshifu and Arcanine. Gonna bring in Ninetales and Grimmsnarl here to kind of make things a little bit easier in the long run. I think the one thing I actually want to do is... Alright, so we have the Intimidate on Arcanine come out. And I think what I kind of want to do here is actually bring in Gastrodon now. That will make it easier to do with Urshifu in the long run. And I'm going to go ahead and Trick on the Urshifu as well. Stealing that Focus Sash and then, you know, making it easier to deal with in the long run. I can also do something like the Choice Band or something like that. But something tells me that Urshifu is going to the Arcanine might try to turn off the Hail. And that's something I want to preserve later down the line. Especially, too, I can set up a late-game Aurora Veil, and I think that is going to be helpful. Urshifu is, it used to be scary for me, but then realizing it has low special defense made it a lot easier to deal with in the long run. Urshifu can also use something like Iron Head, which will make it easier for Ninetales to take this attack. So, I do switch out the Gastrodon. We are going to see the Extreme Speed coming out into the Gastrodon slot, so I take that comfortably. And I do fire off this Trick here. Trick is going to give the Urshifu the Lagging Tail, and I actually take the Choice Scarf. We are going to see this Rock Slide come out. Yeah. So pretty good turn here. That actually is kind of helpful for me to kind of set things up. Urshifu being a little bit slower thanks to the lack of Choice Scarf might actually be nice for Grimmsnarl. So I'm actually going to use that to my advantage. Well, I could. I'm trying to think. If I was my opponent, I would recognize that Gastrodon is my bigger threat. So I am going to kind of recover here. And I think what I'm going to do is, yeah, why not? I'm going to use my Choice Scarf Spirit Break now and try to fire off at this Urshifu. This will also help kind of, well, it won't lower any Urshifu's attacks, but it will help kind of deal with Urshifu in the long run. I can always bring back Grimmsnarl later in the game. This is a very explosive first turn. I don't think anyone really expected this. Ooh, that was a lot of damage on the Grimmsnarl. Critical hit there. And we do get to fire off this Spirit Break right into the Urshifu slot. Does a decent amount of damage. Not too much here, but loving that special attack also doesn't do anything. Gastrodon gets to recover. So that will make it easier to deal with any close combats coming my way. We actually are just stuck on the Rock Slides here. So not too bad. Grimmsnarl is able to survive. But yeah, I think the hail damage is actually going to be very beneficial in the long run. Is that enough to knock out? Yeah, Grimmsnarl is knocked out here, so totally fine here. I think putting good damage on Urshifu is going to be helpful. Cool, and the nice thing here is that I actually get more turns to abuse Aurora Veil. Something tells me that Arcanine might be Choice? In which case, I will use that to my advantage. I am actually going to go ahead and... I'm going to go ahead and try to knock out this Urshifu. Well, I'm going to go ahead and Earth Power the Arcanine slot. And I'll go ahead and set up this Aurora Veil now. Arcanine goes for the Extreme Speed on the Ninetales. Does a decent amount. I do set up the Aurora Veil. Making it easier to deal with physical and special attacks, and Gastrodon gets to fire off this Earth Power here. Wow, close to knocking out the Arcanine, which is really nice to see. And we're going to go ahead and see this Rock Slide coming into both. Ninetales survives with 5 HP, that's what I'm talking about. Not effective on Gastrodon, but totally fine here. Arcanine is going to be taking a little bit of chip damage, and so are Urshifu. And so does Gastrodon, but I get to recover that thanks to the leftovers, negating the hail damage. I think what I want to do now is actually preserve Ninetales for an extra turn. So I'm going to go ahead and fire off this Earth Power into the Arcanine. I'm going to go ahead and use Protect here. And then that should be enough to then, next turn, start firing off these Blizzards and really trying to get these knockouts going. Ninetales is going to protect itself, making sure that Arcanine can't get this free knockout here. We are going to be able to handle that well. Gastrodon is going to go use this Earth Power here. And this Urshifu is just kind of stuck using the Rock Slides. So again, the Rock Slides aren't really doing too much here. And I think really just letting this Urshifu just hang out is totally fine by me. Damage from the Hail is going to be hurting these Pokemon pretty badly. But yeah, we're taking these hits like a champ and dealing with them well. This Urshifu has decided not to do anything but this Rock Slide, so I don't know why. Like, close combat? I guess it's a fearful of something else coming out. We do see the Dusclops coming in. Dusclops does reveal the leftovers and the Focus Sash, but at this point, not really a big deal. I think in this case, I'm just going to target down the Dusclops slot, and I'm going to use Blizzard to hit both of them really hard. Scald allows me to also kind of burn Dusclops in the long run, dealing with a lot of its the main thing here is wearing it down longer. Once we knock out Dusclops, though, I think things are going to look out really well in our favor. So Urshifu is actually going to withdraw, totally fine on this end, and we are going to see the Dhelmise come out. So not the best Pokemon I want to see here, but it is important that we make moves here. Oof. And that actually is problematic. With Dhelmise coming out, we are kind of put in a spot because both Gastrodon and Corsola don't want to deal with Dhelmise. Hail is over, and so we are able to, we still are, this is interesting. Hail over, but we still have our attacks here. Gastrodon has Protect. Really can't hit Dhelmise that well, but if I can burn Dhelmise beforehand, I think that would be helpful. I think what I want to do, though, is still set up this. Yeah, I do want to set up this Max Geyser into the... knocking out Dhelmise early is going to be important. I feel like I could target down the Dusclops with the Max Geyser. And then I feel like we can Will-O-Wisp into the Dhelmise. If we can get this burn off, that is going to be so helpful in the long run. We might have to deal with a Max Overgrowth. But yeah, I think it really just boils down to, can we deal with Dhelmise properly? Okay, so I am going to opt for this Dynamax here. Yeah, the Dhelmise was the one Pokemon I did not want to see here. Having Hydreigon would have been helpful, but yeah, and even Primarina would have been problematic. Dhelmise is a very interesting Pokemon just because of how well it can check a couple of my teammates without really me trying. But it just has very strong attack here. The opponent is going to respond with a Dynamax of their own, so we are going to probably see this Max Overgrowth come in. The issue that I don't like to see is if Dhelmise protects, and then we see the Trick Room. Now, if Dhelmise protects, we see the Trick Room, and we are able to knock... I don't think we're going to knock out. We actually see the Shadow Sneak. Oh, activating its own weakness policy. I see that. Cheeky, cheeky. So Dhelmise is going to raise its attack and special attack. We get off the Will-O-Wisp, so hopefully that will be enough to help kind of slow down this onslaught from Dhelmise. And we're going to fire off this Max Geyser. So be able to do some damage to the Dusclops, which I'm happy to see here. Whew, this is going to be a tough one. I guess the question is, do either of my Pokemon survive? We're going to see the Max Phantasm, unfortunately. It is going to target that Corsola. Can I survive? Yes, I do. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Oh my goodness. What a clutch survival. Unfortunately, that defensive drop is going to be problematic, but if we can Strength Sap the next turn, we can make this work. Dhelmise is taking damage from that burn, and really what we want to do here is Max Geyser the Dusclops, and we want to Strength Sap the Dhelmise. Dhelmise most likely is going to try to use this Max Overgrowth when it can. We're going to get all that healing, kind of lower that attack. Oh my goodness, we got to fight off this Dhelmise for sure. But if we can prevent Dusclops from sending up Trick Room, that's going to be helpful too. Firing off this Max Geyser, let's see what we can do here. That Max Geyser is not enough to knock out, unfortunately. And Dhelmise is going to use this Max Phantasm one more time into the Corsola slot. I am able to survive here. Oh my goodness, thank goodness. Thank goodness. That is enough Gastrodon is going to lower its defense even further, and so will Corsola, and we get the Trick Room going to be set up here. No, we actually see the Nightshade. This plays so much into our advantage here. Let's go! Thank goodness for the Nightshade, because now we can straight sap Dhelmise. Dhelmise won't be able to survive the next, I will be able to survive the next, and thank goodness for the Aurora Veil. The Aurora Veil coming in clutch, making it easier to deal with Dhelmise in the long run. Now at neutral attack, this is going to be so helpful. We are going to see the Shadow Sneak actually come into the Corsola slot, so great call out there. It was enough to knock out there. I do disable it, but a little bit too late. Corsola is knocked out, and we are going to get this, Max Geyser, but at what cost? The Dhelmise coming in strong. It can easily fire off these the Max Overgrowth. Oof, that was a tricky one. Dusclops coming in clutch with that Shadow Sneak. Very great call out here. And we are going to see the Max Overgrowth at -2 defense. That is going to be a lot of damage. I am unfortunately knocked out. Oh my goodness, what a fight. And Dhelmise comes up on top. Woo! Woo, man, that was a tough one. Great job from the opponent, really making that work. The Aurora Veil coming in clutch on a lot of my knockouts here. But yeah, Gastrodon unable to win that one. Dhelmise was a huge threat, and unfortunately I just didn't have the tools necessary to do that, deal with it. I think Dusclops, and I just didn't even, I mean, the Max Geysers wouldn't have hit hard anyways. The Nightshade would have been close if we decided to try Trick Room the next turn. But yeah, I think it was smart from the opponent to say, hey, look, I don't need Trick Room to win. Kind of taking my strategy here. But oof, we dropped a little bit of points there, but great job from the opponent. I thought that was really well played. That was a clutch one. That was a close one for sure. Because Urshifu near the end, I felt very confident dealing with Urshifu for sure. But yeah, great battle overall. Let's see what the opponent's Pokemon is and next team is. We are going to be fighting against another Japanese player. I think it's like early morning for them too. We have Volcarona, Dusclops, Lucario, Espeon, Hatterene, Volcarona, I think I said Volcarona already, and Mienshao. Very interesting team here. A lot of follow me shenanigans. Espeon hits with pretty strong psychic moves. I do like the idea of Hyper Voice. I do like the idea of... Yeah, I don't think Trick Room's coming up. It might for Hatterene. But I don't think it is in this round. Hydreigon can do okay, but I don't like it as much. I like Ninetales to set up my own, Aurora Veil. I do like Grimmsnarl. I like Gastrodon. I'm not as big of a fan of Corsola, but I think Primarina can help out in the long run. Well, actually, Primarina and Gastrodon actually will conflict each other. No, not necessarily. Primarina can still use Moonblast. So, we can do that. I'll say that. Here's Primarina, and we'll use Gastrodon, mainly because there are a lot of special attackers, and we can make that work to our advantage. Primarina can fire off with Moonblast. We can use Hydro Cannon. Well, we can't use Hydro Cannon, but Moonblast at the end game will be helpful. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Lucario go into the Bullet Punch early, or try to knock out the Ninetales, but I think in the long run, it'll be okay. So we are going to see the Mienshao and the Lucario. Going to have Ninetales and Grimmsnarl kind of lead off here. So what I want to do is making sure that Lucario and Mienshao don't really get much of a benefit. So what I'm going to do is use a trick on the Mienshao, and I think I'm going to protect. I don't really need... Yeah, I'm going to actually use trick on the Lucario, and then I'm going to go ahead and protect the Ninetales now. I don't need Aurora Veil immediately. I can wait a turn. So we see the Fake Out. The Fake Out does go into the Ninetales slot, so happy I went with that. And we are going to go ahead and trick this Lucario, making it a more passive first turn, but I am glad I didn't go full offensive. We get the Lagging Tail. We actually have the Choice Specs, and Lucario going straight into that Flash Cannon against the Ninetales here. Lucario and Mienshao are going to be taking damage thanks to that Hail, but I can give Mienshao the Choice Specs. It's not going to like that, and so that's going to free up myself greatly. Going to go ahead and give Mienshao the Choice Specs, and I'm going to fire off this Aurora Veil, making it easier to deal with a Lucario in the long run. Grimmsnarl is going to go ahead and trick that Mienshao. enjoy the choice specs as I take your life orb, and I get to set up this Aurora Veil, making it easy to deal with Lucario and the Mienshao in the long run. Mienshao is going to go for this Rock Slide, so not doing too as much now, thanks to the Life Orb damage. Lucario, a critical hit on Grimmsnarl. Lucario does finally go for this Flash Cannon. Should be enough to knock out the Ninetales, as is I am 4 times weak. But by setting up this critical hit too. Setting up that Aurora Veil, though, will make it easier to deal with both of these Pokemon in the long run. Mienshao is going to be taking damage thanks to the Hail, and so will Lucario. So, I think now I do feel confident going into the Primarina. I can fire off the Hyper Voice and make it easier to deal with both of these Pokemon together. So I will use Spirit Break on the Lucario actually, and I'll use Hyper Voice. If Hyper Voice isn't enough to knock out Lucario, the Spirit Break will be. Mienshao also probably doesn't want to stay in, just because it doesn't want to. Okay, so it decides to stay in. Grimmsnarl actually misses that attack, which is going to be helpful. Primarina is going to be taking a decent amount. Critical hit on top of that, man. The opponent's getting lucky with these crits. And we are going to get the Spirit Break into the Lucario slot, making it easier to deal with those special attacks here. Lucario is going to have his special attack lowered. Grimmsnarl losing that the damage thanks to the Life Orb. And we are able to knock out the Lucario and put the Mienshao in a tough spot. Mienshao is going to be taking damage thanks to that Hail, and so will Grimmsnarl. And so will Primarina here, but honestly, we're looking at a great spot here. Thank you so much, Salome. Thank you so much, Salome. It is nice. I appreciate it. I think I do have a lot of that commentating voice to it, and I appreciate you joining on the stream. How you doing, by the way? Great to have you here on the stream as we fight. So we do see the Dusclops here. Dusclops does frisk and reveal my items, but really at this point, not too big of a deal. I am going to go ahead and use the trick on the Dusclops slot, taking away that Eviolite, making it easier to fire off these Hyper Voices. Curious to see what Dusclops might do. Dusclops might actually try to ally switch, but wouldn't really be a problem in the long run, because then I can give the choice specs to another Pokemon. But yeah, taking away the choice specs, giving that to Mienshao was really beneficial in the long run. But we'll have to see. Dusclops probably is going to use that ally switch. Totally fine in this case. I mean, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Yeah, today's been an awesome day, and we've been battling and having a great time in this. So we are going to give the Mienshao the Life Orb again. But really, this just means that Mienshao is going to knock itself out. So, yeah, I might have taken some chip damage there, but that's totally fine. Mienshao is able to deal with that, able to knock itself out, and I fire off this very powered Hyper Voice into the Dusclops slot. Primarina and Grimmsnarl really making their, really working. The Hyper Voice also gets a hit at full power instead of split damage, which was really helpful. But yeah, that just means I have choice specs, and I can just give that to another Pokemon. So we see the Espeon, which is one Pokemon I don't want to give the choice specs to. So instead, I think I'm going to go ahead and Thunder Wave the Espeon. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fire off a Hyper Voice one more time. Espeon most likely will have Magic Guard, so I won't be paralyzed with this. And so we actually are going to see... Oh, the Magic Bounce actually comes back. Duh, it's not Magic Guard, it's Magic Bounce. Oh my goodness, I walked into that one. Unfortunate for my end, I paralyzed my own Grimmsnarl. And we are going to get the Psychic coming on from the Espeon into the Primarina slot. Primarina takes that decently well. We're going to fire off this Hyper Voice. Good amount on Espeon. And we are going to get the Nightshade into the Grimmsnarl slot. So, actually a great turn for me. Being able to... I mean, sure I lost Grimmsnarl, but the Hail is over, but we still get one more turn of Aurora Veil up, which is so helpful here. Alright, and with Gastrodon up, the opponent is pretty much caught in a pretty tough bind. They probably have to attack the Primarina slot, so I'm just going to go ahead and target down this Espeon with this Max Quake. And I am going to go ahead and fire off a Moonblast in the Espeon slot as well. If Dusclops decides to ally switch here, I will just be doubling up in the Dusclops slot and doing some good damage here. But yeah, no, this is going to be a tough one for the opponent to come back from. I can see a couple different ways. I'm trying to remember, does Espeon know a Grass-type move? Because if it does, that will be problematic. Espeon didn't reveal it yet, so we did see the Psychic. Max Mindstorm doesn't really bother me too much, just because with Espeon, that is one heck of a Dynamax cry. Oh, man. But this is going to be interesting to see. Because what Max Mindstorm probably is going to go on to Gastrodon, if anything. If you Ally Switch, then I'm just going to hit your Dusclops, and I'll get the special defense boost for next time. So we are going to see the Max Starfall firing off from the Espeon slot. Great call out there to make sure that I can't do any, great call there to make sure I couldn't do any, like, shenanigans with, burning or things like that. But I think this Max Quake is going to be so helpful in the long run. That's going to make it easier to deal with Espeon. We're able to do decent amount of damage to Espeon thanks to that Earth Power, rather. The Max Quake coming out. And do we see a Trick Room setup? Nope, we just see Nightshade. Cool. So that just means that Gastrodon can power itself through in the Espeon slot one more time. Espeon protecting doesn't really make sense, but I could see the Aurora Veil come. I could see something like the Ally Switch come out. So I am going to Max Quake into the Dusclops slot, just in case we see some shenanigans like that. And we do! We called out that Ally Switch perfectly! Oh my goodness, that's going to be so helpful in the long run here. And we're able to get... We'll comfortably take this Max Mindstorm. And we are going to be able to knock out this Espeon here. The Psychic Terrain actually is helpful too. Just because now I can actually burn the Dusclops, making it easier to deal with in the long run. We are going to get this Max Quake. That will be enough to knock out Espeon. And oh my goodness, all the boosts. We are looking great here. And Espeon is knocked out. Oh my goodness, calling out that Ally Switch was clutch. And I am glad that we went for it. Gastrodon is going to have one more turn of Dynamax, taking all these hits comfortably well. Question is, does this Dusclops have Pain Split? That will be problematic in the long run, but I'm hopeful it doesn't. I can fire off this Max Geyser, and then we'll just... Oh, and the battle was canceled. There you go, Gastrodon winning it at the end. Great job there. Woo, that Espeon would have been scary, but luckily the Ally Switch was perfectly timed, able to call that out and take on that Espeon. And to the Aurora Veil, and really just stopping the opponent early on. I think the opponent thought that I would go immediately with Aurora Veil, and I said, you know what, I don't need that immediately. I can slowly deal with it, and having that Aurora Veil delayed was so helpful. Cool. I think we'll do one more. I might need to call it quits afterwards. Hey, look at that, back in the 2800s. But let's get one more battle in here. Man, I am having a blast, and I hope you guys are having a blast too. Shout out to Salome for the follow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Those follows do mean a lot, and it's awesome to have the community here to support us. So, interesting team here. We have the Inteleon. We do have a combination of having the Terrakion and the Weavile. We do have the Chandelure. We also have the Sylveon and the Ferrothorn. Now, the thing here is that Weavile can actually set up Chandelure as well. And you might be wondering why. And Weavile learns Surf, right? We usually see this with a Colossal, but it's not a weird thing to expect that Weavile might do this with the opposing Chandelure. And so, by recognizing that, we can try to call that out and make sure we can stop that in time. Terrakion also is a big threat. Terrakion can definitely cause some problems. I really don't have a way to... I kind of have a slow burn way to deal with it. But I do have to be mindful here. So I do feel confident with Ninetales and Grimmsnarl. I like the idea of Gastrodon, but it really doesn't prove as helpful as Prunuina and Corsola. I don't feel as confident with Hydreigon here. I feel like Hydreigon is going to be preyed on by that Sylveon, making it harder. Terrakion can also have a weakness policy, so Sylveon can just run in. Thank you, Salome. I appreciate it. Hopefully we can get this battle and we can make it work. But yeah, it's quite possible that the Sylveon is going to ram into the Terrakion OL, so we have a couple combinations that can happen here. So we actually see Inteleon and Weavile. This is a very interesting combo. What would Inteleon do to help out Weavile? I could see the fake out coming out early. Weavile exerts his pressure. Okay. So I think in this case what I want to do is I'm going to protect with Ninetales, and I'm going to go ahead and fire off a trick into the Inteleon slot. Something tells me this Inteleon is up to some crazy shenanigans, and I need to figure out what these shenanigans are. Inteleon also has Snipe Shot, so it actually bypasses Gastrodon Storm Drain, hence why I didn't feel as confident with Gastrodon. But I feel like if I can trick here, that will slow down Inteleon, make it easier for the next turn to set up Aurora Veil and things like that. And I also don't want to do a Fake Out right now. I would like to preserve my Focus Sash as long as I can. I don't mind dealing with it in the next turn, but yeah, this is a tricky one. Very interesting lead. I don't think the opponent respected my lead either. Weavile is actually going to withdraw, which is totally fine. I'm okay with that. And we are going to see the Ferrothorn come in. So Ferrothorn, actually, depending on what this Inteleon has, I could utilize that to my advantage. Inteleon going straight... Yo, what is up, Taxman? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Great to have you. We've been having so much fun in these doubles matches, man. But, oh my goodness, the Inteleon actually reveals the Gigantamax. Oh my goodness, it's the first time we have seen the Sniper Inteleon in the game. Oh my goodness, this is scary. But a good thing, we actually get to set up Aurora Veil later. I will go ahead and use Protect here. Oh my goodness, you came at just the right time. We see the Gigantamax Inteleon. We do slow it down, thank goodness. Inteleon shows the Life Orb. And Inteleon is going to go for that G-Max Hydro Snipe. Yo, he's going to shoot Grimmsnarl! Ah! Did y'all see that? That was so cold. That was so mean. Ferrothorn doesn't reveal anything like leftovers, but it might have a berry. So I'm going to trick this Ferrothorn and steal that berry. That was such a rude snipe. What a jerk. You see that? He's just like, pew! Fire it at me. What a jerk. Ferrothorn takes the Life Orb. I take the Assault Vest. And so I do set up this Aurora Veil. That will make it easier to do a Ferrothorn in the long run. A Ferrothorn will be weaker to a lot of the special attacks coming its way. And we are going to see the Iron Head going straight into the Ninetales slot. I will be brought down to my Focus Sash here. Thank goodness there. And we are going to see that Hydros, the Life Orb is actually going to help us out here. And that Ninetales is actually going to be knocked out with this Hydro Snipe. That's so mean, that Sniper. But the Aurora Veil being set up here is going to make it easier for Pokemon like Primarina to be able to survive these attacks. Makes sense that why the opponent didn't mind knocking out the Ninetales was because the Hail was going to knock out the Grimmsnarl. So I am down to my last two Pokemon. Oh man, this Hydro Snipe is crazy. Let me tell ya, Corsola is going to be coming out here. And so will Primarina. Looking at this, I feel like Primarina and Corsola can help deal with this Inteleon decently well. I am going to go ahead and Strength Sap this Ferrothorn to make it easier to deal with in the long run. And I am going to go ahead and use Max Strike. The reason why I'm using Max Strike on the Inteleon is that I don't want to give Ferrothorn the benefit of having grassy terrain immediately. And lowering that Inteleon speed is going to be helpful in the long run. Once I attack Inteleon enough, I think that's going to be helpful in the long run. So we are going to Dynamax Primarina. Luckily, I am Assault Vest, so making it easier to deal with Inteleon in the long run. But oh my goodness, this was crazy. I still don't know. I mean, that Weavile can easily set up a Terrakion in the long run. We got to maximize these turns and try to get these knockouts quick. Primarina is going to Dynamax here. We are going to fire off this Max Strike into the Inteleon, so I actually outsped naturally, which is good to see. But I don't want the Ferrothorn to feel confident in attacking. So we are going to get the Strength Sap here. That is going to be nice. Oh yeah, duh, I gave it the Lagging Tail, hence why I am slower. But that is going to be nice to help deal with the power-up coming out. So I'm able to comfortably take that now. Ferrothorn does lose that HP thanks to the Life Orb. And we are going to see the Max Airstream actually coming out from the Inteleon into the Primarina slot. So, not really a big deal because the nice thing about the Lagging Tail is that Inteleon is always going to move last. But I feel like now what we can do is double up into the Ferrothorn slot and try to knock this bad boy out early. Ferrothorn is going to be taking damage from that Hail, and Inteleon is done with that Dynamax here. So looking at all my moves, the best move I have is actually Max Geyser. And I think that's what I'm going to do here. It's 150. Every other move is not very effective against Ferrothorn. But knocking out this Ferrothorn early is going to be so helpful. And then next turn I can use Max Overgrowth to knock out the Inteleon. Alright, so we are going to fire off this Max Geyser into the Ferrothorn slot. The Max Strike also guarantees that I do outspeed Ferrothorn with Corsola. Not very effective, but I totally am fine with that. Once we knock out Ferrothorn, I think it's just going to be an easier game overall. Corsola is going to go in with this Nightshade. Is it going to be enough to knock out? Please let it be enough to knock out. It is! We knock out the Ferrothorn. Thank goodness. And that is a great threat out of the way. We do see the Air Slash. Air Slash doesn't do any damage. Thanks to the Aurora Veil. Thanks to that Assault Vest kicking in. And we are staying here comfortably here, folks. I am digging it. Sylveon is going to be sent out here, and I think this proves an awesome opportunity for us to go ahead and fire off a Light Screen. Being able to survive... Actually, you know what? I think I do want to... Yeah, I do want to fire off a Light Screen. This is going to be a little bit of an interesting challenge. I am going to use this Nightshade, and I am going to go with a Max Geyser into the Sylveon slot. If we can knock out the Sylveon, I think we're going to be in a great position here. Sylveon goes ahead and protects here. Totally fine. I think I will have to ram into it twice, unfortunately. Inteleon also protects. So really, this is going to be the best I could have done with what I had. We're going to fire off this Max Geyser. Max Geyser will be enough to kind of put some damage on Sylveon, not too much. And Sylveon couldn't protect itself, and I do fire off this Nightshade. Nice thing here is that because it's raining, my Hyper Voices are going to hurt like heck. And I'm hopeful that we can make this work. Aurora Veil is still up. Do I have one more turn? I have one more turn of Aurora Veil. Let's use the most out of this and knock out the Sylveon and Hyper Voice both of these Pokemon into oblivion. Sylveon is actually going to fire off his Hyper Voice first. We take that like a champ thanks to the Aurora Veil kicking in. Able to do a lot of damage to Sylveon and Inteleon. And here comes the Nightshade being able to hopefully knock out the Sylveon. We don't get the knockout, unfortunately, and we get the Snipe Shot. Is that Snipe Shot? Who's that Snipe Shot going into? Goes into the Corsola. Ooh, a lot of damage, and that Aurora Veil wears off. Not looking great for us. We have to knock out the... Ooh, I think we are almost lost here, folks. We might have to use the Light Screen here, but... Yeah, Sylveon can easily just fire off another Hyper Voice, and that might be enough to knock out both of us out. Man, that Inteleon, let me tell ya. Sylveon's going to protect. Awesome. I love to see that, actually. I will be able to knock out this Inteleon here, and setting up the Light Screen will actually make it easier to survive Sylveon's attack in the long run. So, great opportunity here. The Inteleon is knocked out, and we do set up the Light Screen. Oh my goodness, folks. I am so lucky because Sylveon decided to be passive that turn. Maybe we can make this work and knock out the Sylveon and win this. This does put us in a bind here. Weavile is going to come out. Weavile is going to be pretty strong against my own Corsola for sure. But I can knock out this Weavile using my own... Yeah, I do want to knock out the Sylveon for sure. And then I'm going to try to use Moonblast on the Weavile slot. Try to get some damage off of here. I could have played a little bit more defensive, but... I feel like what we need to do here is try to find the win con. Weavile could protect. Weavile uses Triple Axle. Ooh, that is going to be problematic. I don't disable it, unfortunately, and that is enough to knock out Corsola. And Sylveon just needs to go for one Hyper Voice, and that is a full attack. I do have the Light Screen. Do I survive? I survived with 11 HP, guys! Oh my goodness! Oh no! Oh, well, it didn't matter anyways. Dang it. And the rain is over. Oh, man. Oh, that was a battle. But unfortunately, we lost. There was nothing we can do here. Both opponents will be able to knock us out. That Triple Axle is enough to knock us out. With that Focus Sash. I know, tough battle, Shalom, for sure. But you know what? It was a good one. Oh, my goodness. That was fun. There was a lot of cool things seen, including that freaking Hydro Snipe. Y'all saw that Hydro Snipe? He coming at us with a gun, like, dude, what the heck? Made it harder for Gastrodon to work, but we made it work, figuring out how to kind of break down Ferrothorn. Yeah, I'm curious to see this team. I'd like to see this team. The Life Orb on the Inteleon, that was a great opportunity for us to really punish through against Inteleon. Snipe Shot, we have the Air Slash, the Ice Beam, and the Protect. There was a certain point that Inteleon didn't do too much. We did see the Justified Terrakion. We have the Weavile with Beat Up, Triple Axle, Fake Tears. Ooh, that's dirty. I like Fake Tears as well. It's one of my favorite moves. And we had the Fake Out. We have the Chandelure Safety Goggles, Heat Wave, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, and Protect. Chandelure would have been pretty dangerous against Gastrodon too. Sylveon with the Pixie Plate really boosting up those attacks. If I was able to trick the Sylveon, that would have been helpful. And then we finally had Ferrothorn with the Assault Vest. I think the challenge with Ferrothorn too was really not being able to maximize it. It was a good fight for sure. Definitely a tough one, but it was a fun one. The Inteleon actually is kind of cool. So, pretty straightforward. I think it's just 252 Life Orb. I might make one. Alright, folks, I do have to take a short break, but we'll be right back after a quick break. Hey everybody, welcome back. Good night, Shalom. Thank you so much for tuning in. I had a blast hanging out with you, and I appreciate the follow as well. It was awesome to have you in the stream tonight. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. But with that, we'll continue our battling. I think we got a couple. I'm feeling great. It's 9 o'clock. I know we need to get ready for work soon, but I'm feeling great for I think win more. Kind of replaying that battle actually. I think I could have won, and this is a weird win condition, but it's quite possible. I set up the light screen, so Sylveon has the Hyper Voice. Weavile knocks me out with Triple Axle. So, the Corsola goes down. Sylveon's Hyper Voice damage rolled was pretty low, so I was able to survive. I then Hyper Voice to knock out the Sylveon. Weavile's brought to its Focus Sash. Now the battle becomes... Okay, no worries. Alright, I'm gonna do one more. I appreciate it. I'm gonna do one more. It is kind of late on my end. Man, time flies when you're having fun, for sure. And then I think I will have to call it. I keep on saying this. I'll do one more, and then I'll call it. But we will do one more, and then we will for sure call it. I do need to get ready for sleep. Let's get this dub. Let's get this win. Absolutely, Dax, man. Let's get this. But it might have been possible to win, but that was a tough one. Alright, so here we are. We actually see a pretty dedicated Trick Room team, including Escavalier. We have Hatterene. We have Primarina. We have the Amoonguss. And we have the Dusclops and the Rotom Heat. Okay, looking at this, I have to be mindful, but Hatterene does have Magic Bounce, so I can't use Trick on the Hatterene. Well, actually, I can, because then Hatterene will use his Trick, and then it takes the Lightning Tail. So that actually does work. What I don't want to see is... I could use Ninetales. Do I like Primarina Gastrodon? Do I like Primarina Corsola? Do I like Corsola Gastrodon? That's what it boils down to. I feel like if Amoonguss has a grass type attack, Primarina actually will be better off because I'll be able to take it better than Gastrodon. I can also still hit Rotom Heat. Yeah, okay. And I don't need to really absorb any water attacks because Primarina's water attacks are going to be the Hyper Voice. And so even if I did, it won't be able to switch. I won't be able to redirect it. One of my Pokemon is still going to be hit by it. So it doesn't really make much of a difference here. And I don't want to deal with Energy Balls. It's hard to guess when Primarina's carry Energy Ball or not. Alright, for sure this will be our final battle of the evening, even if we make a loss here. And we are going to go in with Amoonguss and Dusclops. So really setting up that Trick Room pretty early on here. Amoonguss most likely is going to use this Rage Powder, and so we can use that to our advantage. Dusclops actually does frisk and see the items we have, including the Wagging Tail and the Focus Sash. But honestly, if I fire off this Blizzard, and I'm going to go ahead and use Trick on... I feel like taking away the Amoonguss's item is going to be helpful. And then I can give it to Grimmsnarl later. I can give it to Dusclops later. So, Amoonguss actually protects here. So unfortunate there, I will be ramming in my Protect here. But I do get to fire off this Blizzard, which will do decent damage to the Dusclops. I don't think it's going to do, like, a heck of a lot. I don't get a freeze, but I get the Trick Room up. And so we are playing in Trick Room. I wouldn't be surprised if we are going to see some switches coming out soon. With that, Amoonguss protecting does put it in a tough spot. We actually don't see any choice item. We don't see any recovery, so no Black Sludge here. But I feel confident firing off another Blizzard. I am going to go ahead and try to trick the Dusclops slot. So Amoonguss is going to protect, is not going to protect. Most likely going to be firing off these spores here, making it harder for us to deal with in the long run. I do steal that Eviolite. And we do get the Nightshade on the Ninetales, breaking that Focus Sash. Amoonguss does go with Spore into the Grimmsnarl slot, so I'm okay with that. I think that's okay in the long run. Grimmsnarl is going to be fast asleep, and I will fire off this Blizzard, hopefully doing a lot of damage to the Amoonguss. I do more damage to the Dusclops now, and Amoonguss taking a considerable amount. We freeze the Dusclops. Let's go. That is a great turn. I like seeing that a lot, and that is going to make it easier to deal with this a little bit more passive Trick Room, so to speak. Grimmsnarl is still fast asleep, and I think in this case I am going to go ahead and protect with Ninetales. Just give me one turn, and I think with Grimmsnarl I am going to try to wake up, use the Spirit Break on the Dusclops slot. Dusclops actually is going to switch out, and we are going to see the Escavalier start the battle, kind of starting things off. Ninetales is going to go with this Protect here. And we are going to see the Spore firing off into the Ninetales slot. Doesn't do anything here. Grimmsnarl is still fast asleep, though. Amoonguss taking damage thanks to that hail. Amoonguss probably doesn't want to stay in too long. Escavalier, what can Escavalier do? I figure I can use Corsola later. I think what I want to do here is go ahead and set up. I think I'm going to use Blizzard. I think I'm going to go ahead and use Trick on the Escavalier slot. This also gives Escavalier Eviolite, which is a item that does nothing for it, so that will be very helpful. So let's see if we do wake up in time, which will be very clutch. Escavalier is automatically going to go for this Dynamax. It's going to try to get this big damage off. But again, if we give it the Eviolite, we can help kind of prevent any kind of crazy shenanigans in the long run. Excuse me. Escavalier is activating that Dynamax. Probably going to go for a Max Steel Spike into the Ninetales slot. But we can make this work. Grimmsnarl does wake up. We get the trick off. And we are able to take that item away from Escavalier, giving it the Eviolite, where I do take the Assault Vest, making it easier dealing with a lot of these special attacks in the long run. We are going to be firing off that Max Flutterby into the Ninetales. It is able to knock out despite me resisting. I won't be able to set up Aurora Veil at this time. But honestly, I think that's totally fine. And will Amoonguss go for the Spore on the Dusclops, on the Grimmsnarl rather? Yes, it does. Unfortunately there. Grimmsnarl is now back asleep. But being able to give Escavalier the Eviolite will be helpful. Alright, this is going to be tough. Grimmsnarl actually now has the Assault Vest, so it can't trick anymore. Oh, wait, why did I bring in Primarina? That was the last Pokemon I wanted to bring in. Actually, it could work. I can fire off a Max Geyser into the Amoonguss slot. And then that would make it my next Max Geyser even more powerful. But Primarina probably is going to fall asleep anyways. Yeah, what was I thinking? I should have gone with, Corsola. Okay, well anyways, I guess we're gonna have to play through this. That was a dumb turn on my end. Because Corsola would help kind of deal with Escavalier's strong attack. We should be able to outlive these, I think we're near the end turn of Trick Room. So let's see what we can do to make this work. Amoonguss decides to stay in, which is helpful. We are going to see the Max Geyser from the Escavalier. What water move does Escavalier learn? That's so weird. What? We get the Spore on the Primarina as expected. Primarina is asleep, and so will Grimmsnarl be asleep. Okay. Trick Room's over, so I get to fire off a Max Geyser into the Amoonguss slot, and then I'm gonna fire off a Max. Yeah, I'm just a. What? Why would you use Max Geyser? What are you setting up? I mean, it could be Dusclops, sure. Okay. I get it, you're frozen. Grimmsnarl wakes up. I get to fire off the Spirit Break. Primarina is still fast asleep, so I unfortunately won't be able to use too much here. We are going to see the Max Steel Spike going into the Primarina slot. That will buff up your defense, but your Dynamax is over. And so now I'm just going to Max Geyser the Escavalier, and I'll Spirit Break the Dusclops? I really am confused. Why would you use Max Geyser? What water move does Escavalier know? Does it know Liquidation? This is so weird. I had to look that up afterwards. Man, that's interesting. Yeah, and why would you set up Max Geyser? Out of all the moves you could use, Max Geyser. Huh. Alright, so Escavalier is actually going to go ahead and retreat back to his Pokeball, giving up a lot of those defensive buffers. And totally fine here, I'm just going to go ahead and fire off a Spirit Break into the Dusclops slot. Just making sure that Dusclops cannot set up Trick Room. That's going to be helpful in the long run here. And I am still fast asleep with Primarina, unfortunately. That does mean that Escavalier will come back out, but if I double up in the Amoonguss slot, we should be able to get this knockout here. Here comes Escavalier back again. Maybe it knows Hydration. No, it knows Overcoat. I'm trying to remember its ability. Hydration is a Celgor. Escavalier does not know that. We're going to Hyper Voice here, and I am going to go ahead and fire off the Spirit Break into the Amoonguss slot. But yeah, why would you set up... it just doesn't make sense. We are going to see the Rage Powder, which is totally fine. I did anticipate this. Knocking down Amoonguss in the long run is going to be helpful. I do fire off this Spirit Break. That should be enough to put Amoonguss in a good spot for this Hyper Voice knockout. Amoonguss is going to take that. I finally wake up, and I get to fire off this Hyper Voice, so looking great here. That does a considerable amount of damage on both, and we are going to see the Iron Head go into the Primarina. Ooh, unfortunately, that is a knockout on Primarina. But really, I'm trying to think, what else can I do here? I just have to keep on firing off these Spirit Breaks. Corsola is out, and so I think here I just want to make sure that I knock out the Amoonguss. So I am going to go ahead and fire off this Nightshade, and I'm going to go ahead and fire off the Spirit Break. Alright, you know what? I am going to fire off the Nightshade into the Escavalier slot. If you Rage Powder, great, then I will take it. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to hit this Spirit Break into the Amoonguss slot. Man, it's such a weird turn of events. Yeah, okay, I'm game for us to battle Shalom real quick. That'll be the last thing I do this evening after this battle. But I'm okay with that. Let me know if you want to do singles or doubles. I have a team for both. We're going to see the Rage Powder, so I'm glad that I did anticipate this. Grimstar is going to fire off that Spirit Break. It is enough to knock out the Amoonguss. That's great to see. And we are going to get this Nightshade off into the Escavalier slot. So it'll do decent damage. Is Escavalier going to use Iron Head on the Grimstar? Okay. Alrighty. So it's pretty much Corsola versus the last two Pokemon on this opponent's team. Depending on what they send out, I might win this. So I'm hopeful that we can make this happen. Okay, yeah, we can do doubles. I'll use this team. Let me know. I'll let you know. As soon as the battle's over, we'll hop in here. Alright, so Primarina is the last Pokemon. That does prove a little bit problematic. I am going to fire off this Light Screen, hopefully to survive more attacks. And if we can make this happen, we'll make it work. Primarina is actually going to use Dazzling Gleam. Interesting choice. Probably not making sure that I can't disable the next move here. Setting up the Light Screen, making it easier to deal with those attacks. We are going to see the Iron Head. I don't disable anything, but I will Strength Sap the Escavalier, hopefully to be able to survive these attacks a little bit better here. Primarina also kind of wear it down with these Dazzling Gleams. So will I survive? I do, with 13 HP, as expected. Let's go with the Strength Sap. Going to heal up all of our HP thanks to the Escavalier. Thank you for that healing, Escavalier. I really appreciate it. And we are able to get a lot of all of our HP back here. Escavalier is going to go for the Iron Head one more time. I take that very well. And I'm going to just go ahead and fire off a Strength Sap. You know what? I am going to fire off a Nightshade into the Primarina slot. Primarina is going to fire off this Dazzling Gleam one more time. I take that comfortably well again. Primarina does lose its HP thanks to the Life Orb. And we are going to fire off the Nightshade into the Primarina slot, using Escavalier as kind of our healing battering ram. Escavalier goes for the Iron Head. I take that well. And I should be able to survive an attack from Primarina and then being able to recover here. This is going to be a tricky one for sure. The opponent is going to have to... There's a lot of things that could go wrong for sure. But if I maximize my... we get the Dazzling Gleam. Fires off. I survive with 12 HP. I Curse Body it, so that's helpful. And Primarina is going to lower its attack with that Life Orb. And we are going to get the Strength Sap off here. 5 HP, I know, right? We are surviving. That is the big thing here. All of that HP back. We are going to get that Iron Head into us. Able to comfortably take that. We actually disable it as well, making the next turn easier to deal with. I think now I want to go for that Nightshade on the Primarina slot, making sure we knock it out, and then we can get that knockout on Escavalier near the end game. Corsola showing exactly why it's such a strong Pokemon. We get the Hyper Voice. We take that decently well. That Life Orb working in our favor. We are going to go with this Nightshade. Is that enough? And we get the knockout on Primarina. Let's go! That's what we're looking for. And Escavalier is going to go for this Drill 1. It's not going to do too much now because I have loaded its attack greatly. Light Screen is over and we got the knockout at the right moment. All we got to do is hit off one Nightshade and we win. We found that win condition. Corsola takes this battle and it wins. Yes, Corsola is our girl. Can we get some hype in the chat for that Corsola? Finding a way to make it work. There you go, that defensive buffer. Awesome to see. That was a fight. I gotta share that on the Twitters later. Corsola always is the champ there. Thank you. Thank you. That was an awesome match. Salome, if you want to fight, go ahead and throw me your Link Battle Trade. That'll be the last thing I do this evening. Yeah, fair enough. I feel that. Corsola is definitely a tough Pokemon to deal with. I actually lost to one a long time ago. For sure, Corsola is the champion here. Let's get that hype in the chat for Corsola. Get that hype moment, Corsola. Amazing Pokemon here. So let me know. Okay, so you got your battle ready to go. Let's get to it. I am going to go ahead and start the link chat battle. Get the code here. And this will be the last thing we do this evening. By the way, I haven't set up Nightbot. I recommend following Daxman. Daxman is an awesome streamer, a good friend of mine. And on Tuesday, we're going to be playing a new thing he's going to try out called Wonder Battle. Basically, you Wonder Trade 6 Pokemon. Based on what you get, that's what you got to use, and you go into a battle. Daxman and I are in. We got a battle lined up, and I'm ready. I'm excited. Can't wait to roll the die and see what Pokemon we're going to get. But it will be a good one. But yeah, definitely check out his channel. Also doing an awesome extra. Hey, Gookie Gain, what's up? Let's get some hype in the chat for some Gookie Gain here. Yeah, I'll decide it for sure. What I'm going to choose is I will choose double battle. I'll do normal. That way, y'all don't have to worry if you don't have the rules. Awesome. I know that he'll greatly appreciate it. So thank you for following. That's awesome. Yo, Gookie Gain, let's go. And we'll go ahead and we'll do the whole full 6-on battle. I don't know if your Team Salome have like duplicate items or Pokemon, so just want to make it easier. But yeah, let me know if you do want to change up the battles later. I personally like the Battle Tower ones. It is fun to kind of be able to have multiple battles for sure, like Swiss rounds. That's definitely helpful. But a one-off battle, it's nice to see them all. So 4v4. Okay, feel free to go ahead and cancel your account. The battle. Oh, well, we're into it. Okay, so we're only gonna pick 4. Okay, we'll just do gentleman's rules here. Interesting. So Salome coming in with a pretty strong team here. We got the Weezing, we got the Sableye, we have the Lapras, the Charizard, the Corviknight, and the Durant. Okay. Yeah, Galarian Weezing is a great Pokemon for sure. Definitely a tough one. Yeah, I feel... Yeah. Okay. Alrighty, and I was assuming, Salome, that you did pick 4 Pokemon. Perfect. Alright, we'll do a 4-on-4 battle here. Super excited to see what you brought up. Your team has a lot of interesting tricks for sure. Not everything I want to see, but we can make this work and we'll figure it out. Alright, so Salome is going to start leading off with Durant and Weezing. Great call out here versus Hydreigon and Grimmsnarl. So this actually does prove problematic. Yep, I do see the neutralizing gas coming into effect here. And so we will go ahead and, yeah, might as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and fire off this Max Quake. And then I think with Grimmsnarl, I will fire off this trick later down the line, making it easy to deal with Durant. So, great call out here. Being able to utilize the Dynamax early on, your Max Steel Spike probably is going to get close to knocking me out. I'm not sure 100%, but we'll see how much damage it does in the long run. Meanwhile, I will be Dynamaxing my own Hydreigon, and I am hopeful that we are going to get a pretty strong Max Quake out here. Main thing here is I did target your Weezing to see what we can do here. If you did target the Hydreigon, that actually is beneficial in the long run, but let's see what happens. So we are going to see the Max Steel Spike. The Max Steel Spike is going to go for the Grimmsnarl slot, as expected. Grimmsnarl, unfortunately, is unable to survive that and is knocked out. Actually, though, you did disable your own Hustle. With Dynamax, you actually, with the Galarian Weezing, you disable that. So, the Life Orb will be enough to knock it out for sure, but it wasn't because of the Hustle. That was just the natural damage it outputted. Here we go with the Max Quake. Let's see how much damage we can do on this Galarian Weezing. Not enough to knock out here, but it does a decent amount. Weezing is still able to survive here, and Weezing does fire off the Stream Siege, able to take that decently well. And thanks to the weakness policy here, we are able to boost up our attack and special attack. Weezing able to survive, recovers with that Black Sludge. Okay, I have a couple ideas of what I want to do here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and max guard, and I am going to go ahead and use this Will-O-Wisp, making it easier to deal. Oh, actually, you know what? I am going to use the Strength Staff, making it easier to deal with Durant's kind of bigger attacks that is going to fire off against us. Hey, all good, man. You got the knockout on Grimmsnarl. That's what counts here. Hydreigon is going to go ahead and fire off this max guard. We are going to see the Weezing protect too. So, great call out here. I'm glad that I decided to be a little bit more passive. Able to survive that thanks to our max guard. And we are going to get the Strength Staff here. Doesn't do a whole lot just because I didn't actually recover. I didn't lose any HP. But it will make it easier to deal with Durant in the long run with that lowered attack. I think now I'm going to go ahead and use this Max Quake, and I am going to fire off this Will-O-Wisp into the Durant slot. Weezing is actually going to withdraw. Are we going to see the Corviknight come back in? Actually, Charizard, great call out there. Actually, that is problematic. I will be running into your Charizard. We are going to see the Max Flutterby fire off into the Hydreigon slot. Great call out there. Very great call there, Salome. That was an awesome tactic there. Hydreigon is going to be knocked out here, but I don't think all is lost. Even though I load my special attack of the Corsola, this burn is going to be helpful in the long run. Corsola does get to fire off this Will-O-Wisp. That will be easier to deal with Durant. And now that Durant is Hustle, you do have a chance of missing some of your attacks here. We'll have Primarina in the end game, and Charizard not being able to Dynamax might be easier to deal with in the long run. Here comes Primarina, and Durant is actually going to un-Dynamax here. Going to go ahead and fire off this Hyper Voice, and I will go ahead and also use Nightshade on the Charizard slot. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that was a great call out there. And that was also a great call out that I would ram my Earth Power into you. I think I should have done something like Max Darkness anyways. But I did appreciate that call, and I think that was a great way to kind of negate that. I figured that you would bring Weezing out at this juncture. And so while the Hyper Voice won't be doing as much as I would like it to, it at least will, because of this double target, actually does a lot on your Durant, despite the not very effectiveness. But here we go with the Corsola being able to fire off this Nightshade, making it easier to deal with the Durant in the long run. Durant actually is going to knock itself out thanks to the burn, and we are down 2-2. This will be interesting to see what your next two Pokemon are. I did see the Charizard, making it easier for Primarina. Primarina took a decent amount of damage here. And then we did see... I'm trying to think. Okay, Sableye. Okay. Cool. I think in this case, I'm going to go ahead and fire off this Moonblast into the Sableye, and I'm just going to double target it. Just in case Sableye has anything like a Focus Sash or a Zelly Belly to make it easier to survive these attacks. Charizard also doesn't usually carry grass moves if it's not Dynamax. Sableye actually sets up Sunny Day, so that Solar Beam can come out here. That will be a little bit problematic in the long run, but I think here we go. We see the Solar Beam. Solar Beam is going to fire off into the Primarina. Will I be able to at least survive it? This might be a tricky challenge. You don't have Life Orb. Could be... We survive with 27 HP, and that's what I like to see. We're going to fire off this Moonblast, knocking out the Sableye, making sure it can't do any other crazy shenanigans. And we're going to be firing off this Nightshade into this. Yeah, Sableye is also really cool. I like the shiny Sableye for sure. We're going to fire off this Nightshade into the Charizard slot. And Solar Power is going to lower that Charizard's effective, the HP. I think here what I want to do is, I'll just fire off a Hydro Cannon. And I think what I'm going to do is set up this light screen. That's what I figured. It won't be enough to knock out Primarina here. And we are going to be able to survive this. I will be taking some... Get a heal, use this light screen to be able to take your attacks a little bit better here. And I'll let the solar power do some of the work for me. Tricky part here is that Heat Wave actually does hit for full power in the sun. We get a miss, which is super helpful to see. And we're going to go ahead and hit off the Strength Sap. Going to heal up some of our HP, making it easy to take on your next attack. It happens. But that's the thing, you got to play around. You got to realize that sometimes the misses do happen. We'll go ahead and fire off this Nightshade, and I think that should be it. Charizard does go for this Heat Wave, will be enough. Wow, 4 HP with the critical hit on top of that. I get the burn, so if I Curse Body it, but really it would have been next turn that we would have lost here. We are going to get this Nightshade off. And there he is, that's all she wrote. Not gonna let Charizard. Great match overall, Shalom. That was definitely a tricky one. We figured it out near the end. You actually bypassed the light screen with that critical hit. So that would have been scary. But yeah, great match. That was definitely very scary. Alright, thank you so much for playing. I had a blast. And I think I need to log out though. So before we do, just wanted to thank you guys again for tuning in. I think my camera's a little bit jittery, but that's okay. This stream was kind of a weird one. Thank you again so much for battling. It was a super close match. It definitely did cut. I am curious if it did. Because the reason why you got to 4 HP was because I had, you had a critical hit. So would the Heat Wave have still have gotten far enough to have knocked me out with the light screen up? So, that might be something that, it might have. It might have knocked me out, or it might have not. So, we never know. We never know. But I appreciate it. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I had an absolute blast. And I hope to see you guys here next time here on Gamer Smiles. Huge shout out to Shalom. That was a great battle for sure. Very tricky there. But it was an awesome battle to see. Alrighty. Y'all have a wonderful evening. And I'll see you here next time here on Gaming with Smiles. Y'all take it easy. Peace.